The lost time. I stumbled upon the old clock in an obscure antique shop. Its ornate brass casing, tarnished with age, seemed to hold secrets within its intricate gears. The shopkeeper, a gaunt man with an unsettling glint in his eye, sold it to me with a cryptic warning: some things are better left untouched. Ignoring his advice, I took the clock home. It was a beautiful piece, but something about its design intrigued me. One evening, while waiting it, I felt a sudden chill, and the room seemed to warp around me. The clock's hands moved backwards, and I was transported to a time I never leave it, a nightmarish echo of a past long forgotten. As days passed, each interaction with the clock became more unsettling. I found myself reliving horrifying events from a dark chapter of history. The clock not only showed me the past, but dragged me into it. I experienced the fear, pain, and confusion of those who had once lived through the same events. Shadows of people who had suffered and died haunted my every step. My initial curiosity soon turned to terror. The line between reality and the past blurred, and I struggled to escape the clock's grip. I discovered that the clock had once belonged to someone who used it to manipulate time, causing suffering to those who came into contact with it. Now, it was my turn to face the consequences. The clock's influence grew stronger, and I began to question my own sanity. My attempts to break free only seemed to strengthen its hold. I delved deeper into the clock's history, uncovering a series of tragic events linked to its previous owners. Each revelation only added to my torment, revealing the horrific truth behind its power. The clock's grip tightened as I found myself entangled in a cycle of repeated suffering. Each time I tried to leave, I was pulled back to face the same traumatic events. It became a never-ending loop of despair, with no apparent escape. I was trapped in a nightmarish dance with time, with each tick bringing me closer to the edge of my own sanity. In the end, I discovered that the clock was not just a tool but a sentient entity, feeding off the anguish of its users. My only chance to break free was to destroy it, but the more I tried to sever its connection to me, the more resistant it became. The final confrontation with the clock was a battle against an ancient evil, and I knew that my fate was intricately tied to its own. As I faced the clock one last time, I was forced to confront the darkest parts of my own past. The battle was fierce, and I was pushed to the brink of my endurance. But I knew that to free myself, I had to confront the deepest fears and regrets that had been unearthed by the clock. With a final, desperate act, I managed to shatter the clock, ending its reign of terror. The room fell silent, and the weight of the past seemed to lift. But the scars of my journey remained, a constant reminder of the horrors I had endured and the price I had paid for my curiosity. Now, I am left with the knowledge of what lies beyond the veil of time, and the haunting memories of a journey that forever changed me. The clock is gone, but its legacy lives on in the echoes of my mind. As I stood amidst the shattered remnants of the clock, a profound silence enveloped me. The room, once filled with the ominous ticking, was now eerily still. The weight of the past seemed to lift, but I knew that my ordeal had not truly ended. The clock had been destroyed, but its impact on my life was far from over. In the days that followed, I struggled to return to a sense of normalcy. The vivid nightmares and haunting memories persisted, leaving me in a state of constant unease. The shadows of the past had left an indelible mark on my psyche, and the lines between my present and the horrors I had witnessed remained blurred. Despite my efforts to move on, I found myself drawn back to the antique shop where I had first encountered the clock. The shop had since closed down, its windows covered with dusty drapes, and the once foreboding atmosphere had faded into obscurity. I was left with unanswered questions and an unshakable sense of unfinished business. Driven by an unrelenting curiosity, I began researching the history of the clock and its previous owners. Each discovery seemed to deepen the mystery, revealing a web of tragic events and dark secrets. It became clear that the clock was not merely a cursed object, but a conduit for a malevolent force that had influenced countless lives. My investigation led me to a hidden journal belonging to one of the clock's previous owners. The journal detailed the owner's descent into madness and the insidious power of the clock. It revealed a disturbing pattern of individuals who had encountered the clock and suffered similar fates. The clock seemed to feed off their despair, trapping them in a cycle of torment. As I delved deeper into the journal, I discovered a cryptic message. To break the cycle, one must confront the darkness within. It became apparent that my journey was not just about the clock, but also about facing my own inner demons. The clock had brought my deepest fears and regrets to the surface, and only by confronting them could I truly find peace. Determined to end the torment once and for all, I sought out a ritual that could potentially sever the connection between the clock and the malevolent force it harbored. With the knowledge I had gained and the strength I had mustered, I prepared for the final confrontation. In a secluded, candlelit room, I performed the ritual, confronting the darkness that had haunted me. The room seemed to shift and distort, mirroring the chaotic turmoil within my mind. Shadows danced on the walls, and the echoes of past horrors reverberated around me. As the ritual reached its climax, a surge of energy enveloped me. The malevolent presence that had plagued me seemed to writhe and scream, resisting the ritual's power. I fought to maintain my focus, channeling every ounce of willpower to banish the darkness once and for all. With a final, decisive act, the ritual reached its peak, and the oppressive presence dissipated. The room fell into a profound stillness, and the shadows that had haunted me began to recede. I felt a sense of release, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from my soul. Exhausted but relieved, I left the room, knowing that my journey had come to an end. The clock, the shop, and the malevolent force were gone, but the experience had forever changed me. I was left with a profound understanding of the darkness that can reside within us and the strength required to confront it. In the end, I realized that the true journey was not just about the cursed clock, but about facing and overcoming the shadows of my own mind. The clock's legacy would always be a part of me, a reminder of the battles fought and the resilience found in the darkest of times.